Welcome to the Redvee TV Instant Fan Reaction, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2024 season after St Helens 20 points to nil defeat here at Magic Weekend against Wigan. Chaps, go on, give us your thoughts.
I woke up this morning, thought we might sneak a little 4-pointer, and listen, we know our shortcomings at the moment as a club with injuries that we've got, suspensions. We had a good dig first 15 minutes. We had a good dig second 15 minutes. Harry Robertson I thought was fantastic again today. He just looks so elusive going forward. We've ultimately conceded 3 soft tries against alright, let's say they're a decent Wigan side. I'm not going to say anything, they deserve winners today. But with a little bit more nous, a little bit more creativity, but I think we all know that we're struggling with at the moment in that department. They were there for the taking. Let's not take anything away from Wigan, they deserved it. We move on to OKR next week.
I'd go they were the best of 2 bad sides today. I don't think I know they're missing who's the halfback, French. Yeah. So he makes a difference. He makes the defence stand up. But generally, they were the better of 2 bad sides.
Yeah, I got a message towards the end of that game that said it made Scrappy look kind as a description of it.
As you say, it was 2 tramps fighting in a ditch, and their tramp was better than ours today. Get everybody back, and then, hey lads, we're not out of this.
I also think as well. I mean, I think you look at the game as it was. It's Saints Wigan derby, and it was flat. In the crowd, it was flat. I know there was a bit of atmosphere, but it just felt flat from minute 1 to minute 80, and maybe that's because both sides weren't expecting great deals out of it. It's disappointing that the atmosphere was. It felt. I mean, listen, you can argue we got beaten and the atmosphere was poor. I get that, but it just wasn't. It wasn't good from an atmosphere perspective. I was sat there watching it at times, and even when Wigan were in the ascendancy in the first half, couldn't hear Wigan fans singing. We had Wire fans next to us, and that made them for a bit of fun and games during the second half. But it just felt very, very flat as a game, and I think that's maybe because both clubs have got big injury issues at the moment and fatigue through the course of the season. Disappointing derby, disappointing to the Saints fan tonight. Let's get on to next week.
Well, let's start off the starting lineup that was named. James Bell at 9, Batch in the centres, which obviously got changed when Curtis Sironen went off with his injury. What were your thoughts when you heard that? You do allude to the fact we've got injuries and needs must at times. People were calling for Jake Burns to start, but I think when you see him doing 60 minutes all in one goal there, it looked like the game had caught up with him towards the end because he's not used to doing it.
Yeah, I'd go. He needs 2 spells. So personally, I'd start him and then move the pack around. Do a spell, first 20, and then after that, second half, last 20 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we were all picking a team on the coach coming up here today, and not one of us had Burns starting. To be fair, we all had Bell in at 9, and we weren't sure what we were going to do at centres. And I thought when he was on the field, he put a good synth in. But yeah, you're right. I think ultimately, like the amount of minutes he had in one fell swoop, it took its toll on him. But clearly, looks like that Belly's picked up some sort of knock because he never came back on after his first stint. So we had to mix and match there, and then we lost Cyril, we lost Ben Davies, and you're thinking, like, well, who's playing stand-off here? And it's. As I said last week when we lost the 3 lads with the injuries with Clark and Percy and Doddy, technically we may have lost Sironen, Bell and Davis again, and we've got Johnny coming back next week, and it never rains, it pours at the moment, and we've got to probably scrap together a team next week to take an OKR next Saturday. And listen, as I've said for the last few weeks, when we got beat week after week, this is about. Now you've got to stick with the team. We've got to stick with the squad. It's not a pretty watch. You know, it's heartbreaking at times to watch that team that was so successful for the last 4 years, four and a half years, struggle as they are at the moment. But I've said for a long time, they've got so much credit in the bank for me, and hopefully for other people. You stick with them. You know, this is the time when us as fans need to get behind them when it's in adversity, and let's see where we are come September the 20th. If we're on the top 4, we've got a home tie in the playoffs, and then we go away somewhere. Got a full bill of health then, let's do it.
This is what Leeds have done back in the day against us, 5, 6, whatever, however many times. We get in the playoffs, we'll give it a go. We'll give it a good shellacking, give it a full squad. Nobody wants to play us.
Back to today, who comes out of that game? You mentioned Harry Robertson. Who comes out of that game in credit? I mean, I'm personally going to pick out Johnny Vaughan as well, coming on in the centres, looked bright, looked like he wanted it, looked like he was trying to make things happen. Anyone else? I'll go to Smudge first.
I'll go Moses and By, because in an unfamiliar position, it's not, well, from his Saints career, he's mostly played 9, he's played 7 or 6, whatever it was today, on the left hand side. He's kicked fairly well. I'll agree with you with Vaughan. I like Robertson a lot. Will we see Whitby at some point? I don't know. Depends on numbers.
I think the way that I always say it, with Whitby coming in, Will Roberts has already got a squad number. He's been in the 21. I can't see Whitby jumping straight in and jumping into the team. It'd be a departure over what's happened. I'm not saying it won't happen, but because things happen where you bring Robertson in for a couple of weeks and then he starts, you bring Vaughan in for a couple of weeks, Stevens in, and then you get their game time. Do you think that is going to happen, that Whitby will just get a squad number and then say play next week?
It's a long shot, but he's just passed his A level, so he's out of school. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, we're up against it. We all know, like, obviously, getting Johnny back next week in the house is probably a big plus. So I suppose the argument is that providing Moses has come out of today with no knocks and bumps and bruises, then your half back next week is clearly going to be Johnny and Moses. I'd love to see Whitby get a go before the end of the season, but I think you're right. I think there's probably a couple of people ahead of him in the pecking order, and probably this year is not his time, and let's see where we are going into next year with him. But I think, you know, if we keep everyone fit and healthy, then, you know, I think we're all of the opinion that Johnny will be back in next week, partnering Moses at 6 and 7.
Yeah, a tough afternoon overall as a Saints fan. As you say, Ellen Road, it's not the right choice for me. It doesn't have that feeling of a magic weekend, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, listen, like, with the greatest respect to Ellen Road, it's just not a magic weekend round. It's, you know,
it's a regular game,
and I think that's basically part of the atmosphere today. I mean, you know, you look at the first game there, which obviously I've not seen, but London have won 29-4, so it's a great result for London. And when you come in there thinking Saints and Wigan, it'd be a great game, big atmosphere. And as someone who's watched it live, and if anyone who's been today has watched it now, if you tell me that was, I mean, we were in the East Stand, so it was very, very flat where we were. We had, obviously, there's a contingent of Saints fans where we tried to get it going, but ultimately it just felt flat from minute 1 onwards. For me, the rugby league have got to be a bit more proactive. They're talking about dubbing next year. There's pros and cons to that. Paris the year after, there's probably more cons than pros to that. You know, let's get back to Newcastle. Let's look at Cardiff. Let's see where people have travelled to. But Ellen Road, sadly for me, there's a reason we're going home straight after Saints game, and it's not because we've got beaten.
It's a no.
Well, thankfully I've not had to use that with you two, because you've both had yellow cards for swearing. We're not at home. Don't even think about it now. One thing I am going to say is I hope that the sound comes across all right, because I'm not redoing this one. We're stood behind a coach that's decided to switch its engine on.
All
right. We'll just have to chalk that one down, as Wigan were better on the day. We didn't really create anything. We had that one chance through Matt Whitley. Harry Robertson set it up, couldn't finish it, and got what we deserved.
I think so, yeah. As I said, like, move on, get over it quickly. Big game next year against Hull next Saturday. We've got to get 2 points. End of story.
Exactly what Dave just said.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
You will.